Let me turn the logos on. There we go. We are in the final day of DreamHack Open 2014. It is, of course, DreamHack Stockholm. You're watching Base Trade TV, and we are going to be covering a TVT. Before us, spawning here in the bottom right corner of the map, we have the red Terran player representing Millennium, ForGG.
Never left as the blue Terran. CM Storms Polt.
So you and I made a lot of predictions about what was going to go on, what was going to go down between some of the players in some of these matches, and you made the call of ForGG on this one, which I found a little bit interesting because ForGG, man, this guy's been like the kingpin Terran in Europe for a long time. Then came Joxy, then came Yoda, then came like all the other guys to kind of join him. Like he's been living in like with the Millennium guys for I don't know how long, but it's been a long time. And I don't know, he has been the king of TVT. I mean, like, when you had the Acer Team Story Cup, Season 2, for example, ForGG, man, this is the guy they would bring out for every TVT, and he kicked a lot of ass. So this should be a pretty good series.
Yeah. But, you know, besides ForGG just being, like, really strong in TVT, and while, like, you don't get to see him that often anymore because, you know, he's, I don't know, just, you know, there's not the ATC anymore. His TVT win is still like really high, and his teammates are still like, you know, pretty approving, not approving, appraising, no.
What word are we going for? I can't help you out. Normally I got you on this, but I don't know what
right?
to go for on this one.
They really like his TVT. They know that he's really good at it.
Well, I mean, he does have some of the best Terran players in Europe to practice. I mean, Daishi, for example, going to be #1. Oh, was that me or?
I got it too, though, so...
Okay. Just take a deep breath. There were some issues with the venue yesterday that caused some complications, and my fingers are just crossed, knock on wood, that that's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
But we did have a Reaper opening here out of Polt, playing slightly different. You know, all this talk about ForGG, but we didn't really bring up the fact that we just all saw a whole handful of Polt, a whole handful of TVTs. Like, so much happened in the Red Bull Battlegrounds. And
I was going to, but then I forgot a word. I forgot N-word.
Then we made that horribly awkward transition. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say not only is ForGG just really good, but Polt, I'm still not okay. Like he had a good run in the Red Bull Battlegrounds for sure, but it was like really shaky. But then you could argue, well, that was against Bomber, so like you know, whoop you, like how shaky was it really? Bomber just apparently is a king of TVT.
I know there's some players it's so hard to criticize. Like it's weird to consider too, because like you don't make excuses for somebody like Polt, but you're like it's Bomber. He gets a bit of an out, right? It's just like this guy's insane.
It is insane.
Reaper fight is always going to be a little bit odd to see. Sadly, Polt has to fully disengage.
Yeah, he got a good scout though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes you can take this fight and turn it around, but yeah, he sees the starport, he sees the factory. The downside is he didn't see the gases, but that's not really that big of a deal. Because when you see this starport, usually you're assuming Banshees anyways. In fact,
yeah,
we didn't see the tech lab.
Oh, well, okay, so not saying the tech lab is a little, like... I mean, it's a little worrying. You know, seeing the tech lab would have almost 100% been, you know, Polt saying, okay, it's going to be either a Banshee opener or a Raven opener. We're not quite sure yet because the, I mean, Banshee openers are always, you know, they're very popular, but the Raven opener into the double tank drop is something that's like, just like really good, and people have been doing almost like, you know, one person at least tries it every single time. But no, it is a Banshee. All right.
Well, you know, one of the things too, this bunker, we didn't really talk much about. This is actually a really cool and very important bunker because right now, Polt, he didn't wall this off. He kind of has to almost feign a defense, but ForGG doesn't fall. He doesn't fall for it.
It's so, ForGG. Like if he's getting Hellions, you better wall off.
Right, and this is kind of a problem. Now he does. Oh, almost get that Hellion.
Whoa.
Sadly, there was only 2 instead of 3. You can't get that sick one-shot volley, but he is getting a lot of these SCVs softened up.
Yeah, and he's following up with a Banshee, so this is actually really good.
Yeah, if he gets him alone enough, he'll only take one shot for the Banshee instead of 2. But sadly, only a couple of those SCVs are in that range.
That micro, though.
Yeah, good control. Good control.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. It looks like Polt also gearing up to do some type of drop. So Polt's okay. He's gonna put down a missile turret, or 2 missile turrets. That's pretty important. Like if he like misread because he didn't see a tech lab, that would have been huge. You know, not having a Raven, not having a Viking. Yeah, I mean, he may have just died. So thank God for the missile turrets.
Nice little snipe there on the Reaper on the sideline to make sure that it wouldn't get too far.
Can't take on this one.
I mean, getting to the main, there's so many SCVs that are in one-shot range.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this because I look and I see 17 health, and I remember we did the 50% handicap game where SCVs would get one shot with with what was a normally abnormally small amount of health. But that turret completes.
Yeah. So I just wonder what Polt's gonna be able to do with this drop too. So besides opening up with maybe less than perfect defense against a Banshee, he has this drop which, I mean, it was scouted. It's, you know, it's not that big of a deal if the Banshee stays at home, and ForGG does have a Banshee at home. And of course it's him, so he's going for Hellions and like a lot of them too.
Wait, did he just double react for Hellions? Oh, it's so sick if he did. Oh, that might
I think so.
Well, that might be for the starport though.
Maybe,
to get,
maybe.
Vikings.
Yeah. Okay, so we dropped the low ground, which I guess, like, ForGG was prepared for the high ground drop, but...
My fire be cleansed!
Looks like the Banshee was cleaned up. Yeah, the Viking popped out.
Attack at the command center to get the splash damage on that, that would have been potentially impossibly. Had to actually clean it up would have been really cool. Worker discrepancy, not really that big of a deal. They both lost a couple of workers. Actually, no, they haven't. It's only, some kills over here on ForGG's side, but I mean, this is still, it's not exactly like 35 workers to 29 or something. It's a difference of like 2.
Yeah, not a big deal. Polt has yet to scout this double fact. Yeah, he doesn't know it's double factory. You might assume because, you know, there's a lot of Hellions and it's ForGG.
Pretty good scan, actually sees the double factories, and this is going to be key to note that A, he sees the tech lab spinning. That's never drilling clause early in TBT. It's always going to be blue flame, and he knows that it's not going to be bio as the follow up.
The idea is preposterous. I laughed in your face for that.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying, like, you know, it's not going to be like one of the. I know. It's only one thing that's going to be spinning out of that, so you know it's for sure blue flame's going to be on the way. And here's the thing: we talked about the Vikings coming out. This is a really funny oddity because normally you go heavy on the Vikings if you're playing straight up mech against like another mech player. Going heavy on the Vikings when you're playing against bio isn't bad per se, but they don't have the same strength. Because Vikings are armored. The only reason you get these in TVT for mech versus mech is because the Hellions can't kill them so like super duper fast. But Marines are still going to bring a lot of damage to the party. These siege tanks are going to be hard to deal with. I guess he's going for that air dominance, which I can't disagree with because he's got Banshees. Normally Banshees have fallen out at this point in the game, but he kept 2 alive, and I really like this choice.
You know, there was a time when Blue Flame Hellion was necessarily the only choice. It could have been siege mode. Remember the good old days.
Let's get a couple of Vikings landed on the ground. Who was it? It was Ryung yesterday. You remember he had all those landed Vikings that made his army look so badass?
Oh yeah, his army was really that big, yeah. I really don't know if he should push in here. I mean, ForGG is the king of doing this and making it work, but there's so many tanks and Marauders are already here.
I guess if he kills enough of the Banshees, clean everything else up.
More Marines pop out,
there's not enough anti-air.
2 Marines.
The landed Vikings are going to be kingpin in this fight.
This guy!
But that was the most cost-ineffective bust I've ever seen.
Maybe. So the big deal is that he's lost all of his Vikings. He lost... Well, the Hellions are really cheap, though. So, like... I mean, it was worth it just because the Hellions are cheap, and he's still doing so much damage just because of the Banshees.
It's 2 Marines at a time. This is just not going to cut it. His Viking does get involved with fights. He could just lift his own, though, and snipe the Viking. I don't know why he doesn't, but... kills off one of the Banshees, only 1 remains, but these Vikings just going ham on the mineral line now, saying, alright, it's fine, if you want to pick up and run away, go for it.
It's so weird.
Hellions, please.
And the Hellions get here so fast. Like, Polt can't keep up.
Well, we talked about the worker difference not being that big of a deal before, but now it is. Down by almost 10 workers at this point. Maybe be forced to lift the command center. All Polt can really do is lift up the SCPs to save them. Keep him in the main. I'm
now convinced the only way to stop ForGG is just walling off. I mean, people are so hesitant to do it in a CVT. You know, tanks killing 6 supply would sound like the greatest time in the world, but...
Those Hellions definitely didn't need to be in range of the siege tanks. He was able to just walk.
I did not note... I don't know if it would be really that big a deal, but the Marines did not have combat shield.
It's against blue flame though. I mean, you're still gonna take like 4 volleys to the face.
Yeah, and there's like 2 Banshees. There's never a point where it's like, oh,
this one Banshee, by the way, is being a total boss. This thing's been alive forever, it feels. Vikings gonna win the sky fight. Not a chance here for Polt. And looks like ForGG is just seconds away from locking down game number 1.
We actually have had the pleasure of seeing a lot of TBTs lately. You know, it used to be like. Back in the day, you could be like, well, I guess maybe on maybe on like ladder, this is totally normal, but we don't see enough TBTs. But we've seen a lot of TBTs, just like in the last month. And ForGG is still like one of the only guys that like busts like that with Hellions. It's silly.
ForGG is a badass, but that